So it's July the 1st, when I keep on my videos obviously. Just wanted to talk about some kind of concerning kind of issues and prove something. Regarding my ex and her basically, and the way she's been platformed basically by Tusla in an effort to try and conceal what she's actually been doing. I've said it before in previous videos, this woman has done the most unspeakable kind of things, the most despicable acts as a mother, to be honest with you, and they're trying to cover it up. And it suits Dr. Anne Carey, who basically has a hooks in this person. She manipulated this person and dragged this into this weird religion thing that Miss Anne Carey was kind of recruiting for her and her husband out in Tramore. And this went on between 2013 up until 2014, where I left in August 2014 after there was a day out for the kids in Kilkenny. And when we went down, then they basically told us they would show our commitment if we stayed the whole weekend. You sleep in the place. And the kids' play date that was supposed to be like they were supposed to go off and make pizza. They weren't allowed to make the pizza unless they repeatedly chanted these prayers. It was all set up basically, kind of. It wasn't really kids' day out. It was there to push the narrative of this Baha'i faith. I know this all sounds crazy. In my next video, I'll talk about it. Then they informed us that the gates were locked. They were locking us in, but they weren't locking us in. They were locking thieves out. This is the way it's. But these people are extremely manipulating and deceiving. They promote deceiving people. They promote manipulating people. They promote that they're open to all religions and all this kind of stuff. This is all a gimmick. It's nothing more than a gimmick. They're extremely kind of false and extremely dangerous, to be honest with you. And my ex is still in this, and this is why she gets all the perks and the rewards. Because she, as I said, she's out there doing the most unthinkable kind of stuff, and it will eventually come out. But here she is. But here's something that she wrote. This was in a newspaper, that was covered, where she states that she was clean from the 8th of the 8th, 2008. And I spoke about this in previous videos. My mother was very superstitious. She used to always say the 8s were fallen, and my ex knew all this. And she told her about this. And this is why my ex used the 8th of the 808, basically saying that she's clean since that date. I went into rehab on the 30th of the 7th, 2008. She came in 2 weeks after. I think it would have been around the 15th of the 8th, 2008. That would be more or less. And but to get into rehab, you have to be a month clean of drugs. You have to give them urines. So she would have, at the very least, she would have went in. It would have been around the 6th of the 7th, like 2008. So that can be proven that this woman is lying and deceiving people. And the reason she used the 8th of the 808 was because of me mother telling her how superstitious she was. And my mother used to talk about the 8s kind of following her. So this is why she was walked through these lies, and this is why she keeps pushing this narrative of the kind of 8s. And it's basically to rub salt in my wound. She's a very spiteful human being. She was on the Two Norries podcast, and they walked her through her username on Instagram. She's there to promote a hair business program. Do you know what I mean? So, but she was basically walked through the lies. And as I said, it's to rub salt in my wounds. There's loads of information. I will show this person to be a liar. It's not about me saying X, Y, and Z, and she's saying this and I'm saying that. I will show you documented proof. I will show you videos that shows this person to be an absolute dangerous liar. But behind the scenes, and now we're all aware now of what our freewheelers input over the last couple of months. As I said in my last video, I only found out kind of recently of how kind of the gravity of this situation, how they had contacted other motorcycle chapters and other actually motorcycle groups in an effort to kind of like conceal all this stuff, because they one foot in with the guards and Waterford City Council and all this kind of stuff. And that's just a fact. Do you know what I mean? They got lured into this by a man Ambrose, who would be a member of Waterford Freewheelers, and my ex came down dropping the kids down, and had this fella driving the car with these patches on, trying to intimidate me and all this kind of shit. And the first time all this kind of weird sexual shaming, this was done by a girl named Amanda Walsh out in Tramore. And I reported it to the Gardaí, obviously. The guard spoke to her, she denied knowing me, she denied knowing my ex. So there's nothing really I could do about it. And then about 2 weeks after that, I was actually in court, and she comes in sitting with me ex, two of them laughing over what they were after doing. And then the second time it was done was in 2017 by a neighbour. She had met the daughter of the neighbours at Marinda Barons up in Barrack Street, and then she fed this information into the freewheelers yet again. This was the second time, but again I had been told that she had met this woman, and I reported it to Waterford Gardaí. I also reported it to Waterford Council, And it was Joe Daniels who told me that it was somebody just trying to spook me. Go ahead, move into the house. And when we moved into the house, there was an issue after a couple of weeks. She dropped the kids down for sleepover again. And then after that, then there was a gang of about 25, 30 people. They were talking inside the house about kicking in our door and kind of dragging us out. So we ended up having to leave the house. And then she tried it the third time in 2018, but I changed the location of where I was taking the kids. So she couldn't do it. I wanted to be done. And the only reason I wasn't done is because she wasn't on the scene. That's the only reason that wasn't done. But she done it again then in 2019. We all know how she tried to destroy my wedding. The kids were the bridesmaids. She dropped the kids down, got measured for the dresses, bought the dresses, and then she pulls them out of the wedding. That they could only go on the condition that she was allowed to go. That'll go to show you how narcissistic and spiteful this person is. But she done it again in 2019. Again, using the kids as bait. This is what she does. And it was Mary Ryan who done this in down Spring Garden Alley. And it was Mary Ryan's brother in rehab all those years ago that actually set myself and my ex up in rehab. So there you go. All three people have been connected with my ex. And a lot of people will think that I have an issue with these three people. I actually don't. I understand they're just pawns. Even with the whole freewheeler situation, I understand they're just pawns that were lured into this by me ex and Dr. Anne Carey. But if nothing else, it'll show you that there was no kind of concern about me having the kids. Do you know what I mean? Because you wouldn't be dropping the kids down, would you? So what's it really about? What's it really about? They're trying to remove me from my community, realistically, and me family. And because Dr. Anne Carey couldn't get what she wanted, my mother was targeted. Now my family knows what my mother went through for the last couple of years of her life. Do you know what I mean? And it's absolutely despicable. And I plan on bringing this to the High Court. There's kind of wheels in motion there. I'm sure kind of Waterford Council will be somewhat aware of what's going on. I don't want to say too much in case they don't know, but they'll be contacted and there will be kind of wheels in motion regarding this whole situation. But if nothing else, it shows you, because we all know what she done in 2016. Everyone in Waterford knows, but not only in Waterford, it's had to be spread all around Ireland now. So as bad as it is, it supports what I'm after been saying. Do you know what I mean? They're after throwing all their eggs in one basket there now, because it was done in 2016. She dropped the kids down for a sleepover. She done it again in 2017. Dropped the kids down for a sleepover. Tried it in 2018. I changed the location. And I wasn't done, strangely enough, because she didn't know where I was with the kids. Then she done it again in 2019, dropping the kids down again. And she actually tried it again in 2020, where I'm living there now, and I had to just say no, that I couldn't take the kids. And she basically destroyed my relationship with my daughter, but she destroyed her other daughter's relationship with her father. So it's not really much of a surprise. Now they'll do everything to prevent me from showing this person and her action, because I think we'll all agree this is not a normal situation, and her actions are far from normal. Do you know what I mean? It's beyond kind of despicable what she's out there doing. And as I said, my mother was targeted, and this was all set up by Dr. Anne Carey because she wants to push this Baha'i faith through the Irish government. This is why they focus on people, to give them a platform, to get them into high profile positions, to kind of push the narrative of this whole Baha'i stuff. It's 100% a cult. I'll explain in my next video of kind of what was going on and why I left it, and you can make your own minds up. That's it. I'm going to try and bring a case through the High Court, and there's a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, that I had to go through over the last couple of years that I'm going to have to let go because it has no place in the courtroom. Regarding Waterford Gardaí and regarding Waterford Council, they're caught. The amount of incidents regarding both these kind of organisations that they failed to kind of record, or they've since removed the paperwork all around these incidents, that alone speaks for itself. And then I have the paper. I got back some of the paperwork. So now they're caught in a kind of catch-22. So they'll do the whole kind of strength in numbers, kind of stick together. And because of this sex stuff that was spread around, I understand how they all got lured into this. This was the whole kind of point of it. This is why you were lured into this. If you notice, all these people, they're all part of a bigger organisation. Do you know what I mean? They're all in groups. They have friends. They have family in GAA clubs. They have people in motorcycle clubs. They have people within Sinn Féin. They're people strategically picked. And when I talk about this whole Baha'i stuff, what was done around that, there was no kind of allegations of any sexual inappropriate kind of anything, to be honest with you. There was none of that whatsoever. There was no kind of allegations of mental illness or any of this kind of stuff. This only arose when I left this Baha'i stuff. Do you know what I mean? And what would be the problem with having all this investigated? What's the issue with having it all investigated? But I have a case. There's enough kind of incidents that has been kind of not recorded or purposely kind of fell through the cracks. But I'll show you. Whereas individually, they might be just kind of individual complaints. But when you combine all these incidents together, it paints a picture of like blatant harassment. Do you know what I mean? And basically state-funded corruption, because these people are state-employed agents. Do you know what I mean? And the negligence that's after been kind of implemented by these parties is immense, and now they should be held accountable for it. Like as I said, Roisin Doherty and Leo Kennedy in 2017, they got caught searching my mother's bedroom. You think I'd make this up? Like, you think I'd disrespect my mother's memory to say this? Like my ex brings Anne and Pat Carey. This is this kind of psychologist now kind of that roped us into this religion. She purposely don't bring the kids because the kids knew I didn't speak to these people because I'd left the kind of Baha'i. But what happened was her friend also came and she was also in this Baha'i stuff. But she had also left. But she realised how strange it was that Anne and Pat Carey would turn up to my father's funeral but she didn't know any of my family. And that was the start of the nasty psychological stuff because I realised then who Anne Carey was and the shit hit the fan. That she had previous engagements in a situation which I've spoken about in previous videos that's a very kind of concerning, and she shouldn't have been anywhere near my family. And she tried to cover all this up. And it's to do with kind of sexual inappropriate kind of allegations regarding a certain person and a minor, and I was there as a witness, and it all got covered up by Dr. Anne Carey. Not to mention then the whole kind of lureness into this Baha'i faith. That was done actually through the psychology course that I was studying out in Tramori TV. Do you know what I mean? It was his first time of teaching this, and he told me himself he wanted to help his wife spread the word of this kind of Baha'i stuff. And basically luring students up from the classroom up to the house. He would strategically pick weak-minded kind of students that were kind of open to be kind of manipulated. I was at the confide in him that I was with my ex. I was only with her for the kids. I didn't want the kids being taken back to Ballymun. This was the threat that was always hanging over me. Do you know what I mean? That if we broke up, she would take the kids back to Ballymun. So realistically, I stayed with her because I loved the kids, and that's it. And he knew this. I confided this in him when he was going back telling his wife, and this woman and my ex would do everything in that she had to be the centre of attention. This is an ongoing issue with this woman. And when she left rehab, she was told not to cut hair for 2 years. She's been on social media saying that she was told not to cut hair for 2 years because it was leading her to drugs. That's ridiculous. She was told not to cut hair for 2 years because it was impacting her relationship as a mother. Because she craved this social kind of validation to the point it became abnormal. So I'll talk about all this, but I just wanted to point out one more thing. She done this in 2016. We all know she spread all this kind of pornography stuff in 2016, right? But then she dropped down the kids. She done it again in 2017. She was dropping down the kids. She tried in 2018. She dropped down the kids, but I changed the location so she couldn't do it. She done it again then in 2019, and she dropped down the kids. And what happened, I was getting stronger and stronger, and I was talking about this Baha'i kind of stuff, and Dr. Anne Carey would have realised that I was going to kind of really out this, and her family would not have her mixed up in the cult. That's 100%. So in 2020, she told her mother about all this kind of pornography stuff that she's after been spreading. And what I'm going to say to her now, she's going to know that someone within our family kind of spoke out of turn. And in 2020, then she brought her mother down to show her the tracker on my car by driving along behind me. Now, I'm not supposed to know this, but obviously I do. But as I said, had she had told her family in 2016, they would have said, what are you doing dropping them down the kitchen? In 2017, what are you doing dropping them down the kids? 2018, do you know what I mean? 2019. There's no way in the world they would have left her drop the kids down. So it wasn't really about any kind of concerns about me having the kids. She's trying to basically do the bidding of Dr. Anne Carey in an effort for her to get her validation. Now she's already after getting this. She's getting the perks. She's getting all kind of grants and all this stuff to push this hair together program, which I've spoken about. That's actually my idea, which she stole. Came down, ruined my idea, and kind of basically stole the idea, hijacked the idea and passed it off as her own. It is what it is. If I was to kind of rattle a few cages about this, it would ultimately kind of fall at the feet of our daughter, and I don't want that. Like anything I say, I have documented proof. There's a load of stuff I'd love to say, but I can't really prove it. And that's what was done. And then we have the likes of those hooligans up in children's grouping thinking they can jump on this to try and clean up their own reputation. The fact that you have so many allegations and accusations around that whole kind of situation up there that's gone on for that amount of time and no one has investigated it, that will show you that there's some kind of influence being wielded somewhere along the lines, and they should be investigated with transparency based on what's after been covered up. Like, you couldn't investigate that with disclosure based on previously what's after been happening. Like, you have people up there who covered it up and they're still up there. They're still up there pulling strings. I have a lot to say about that, so I'm trying kind of like not to speak about it at the moment. But I just wanted to kind of point out one or two things now. I'm going to kind of, my ex was on an interview the other day, two Norries in 2022. They ended up having to write to me and apologise because they platformed this person for her lies. And the amount of lies that this woman told on this, now she's had them on other platforms. So when I'm talking about, I'm only actually talking about stuff that she put out there already. I'm basically addressing it. I'm basically defending myself, being honest with you. And I'll give you an insight to the character of this person and why is Tussle after platforming this person. You know what I mean? She was on that Two Norries podcast and she talking about kind of bringing awareness to mental health. This woman has absolutely destroyed like my kind of life, if I'm being honest with you. Even though I don't speak to me brothers and sisters, like, they have to deal with the fallout from this person. Do you know what I mean? Absolute poison is not the word. And if nothing else, you'll see that this is not a normal situation. It's far from a normal situation. And there's nothing I can kind of reference of it. But I will try and get it through the courts, and unfortunately I just have to stick to kind of Waterford Council and Waterford Gardaí because I can prove my case around this. When you have that many incidents, there's clearly something going on. So I want to thoroughly investigate. And the reason I want to thoroughly investigate is because they were lured into this by Dr. Anne Carey and they sprayed all this sex shit everywhere. And now they're caught. They're after being exposed to be corrupt. So they're after throwing all their eggs in one basket. They're after essentially shunning me from the community and around Ireland, which I understand. And I think there should be some kind of accountability. And I'm going to seek accountability. Because, as I said, what was done to me mother was absolutely deplorable. The focus on a woman pushing 70 years of age, living on her own. Like, I'll talk further about this, kind of, because I'll end up getting wound up if I talk about it now. And when you hear the nastiest of the nastiest stuff that was done to me mother in an effort to try and provoke me, and as I said, me mother done nothing to anyone. Me mother-in-law done nothing to no one. Me wife done nothing to no one. As I said, me ex was dropping down the kids like time and time again. So what really about kind of any concern about me having the kids or stuff? So what's it really about? What's it really about? It's as simple as that. And I'll show you documentation. I'll show you a parenting agreement where she signed me over the kids for 6 days a week. I'll show you a court order where there was a war with the kids. She just broke and left on me beside the court. But then to see this person lauded and applauded and being given a platform by Tussle and talking about mental health awareness, and she's after destroying so many lives. Do you know what I mean? And this is not about spite or revenge or anything about this. This is about me standing up for myself and standing up for my family. And I'm aware of various organisations and groups and people kind of like getting involved. You're being lured into it. Do you know what I mean? Mind your own business. And unfortunately for freewheelers, you were lured into this when your man Ambrose was driving my daughter around wearing your patches trying to intimidate me. And it was the same in 2017. And there's been other incidents, I just didn't address it. I'm very well aware of your input, do you know what I mean? But as I said in previous videos, you have one foot in the Garda station / county council, do you know what I mean? Like, and there's many people like after kind of getting caught in the crossfires of this, but they were purposely kind of lured into this. They had the intelligence to kind of see it for what it was. But at the end of the day, if you weren't corrupt, you wouldn't have been lured into this. And sadly, there's people within Waterford City Council and Waterford Gardaí and more who can't really show any kind of professionalism because if they don't toe the line and behave corruptly like those around them, they'll potentially lose their job, being honest, or they'll be frozen out of their job. And I know there'll be people watching this and they'll be concerned that I'm going to talk about certain things that I was told and who told me. I'm not. I promise you I wouldn't, and I won't. And there's one more thing I just want to say, right? Regarding the whole Halligan situation, we're all aware that Henry Halligan passed private emails back to kind of David Cullinane, who David Cullinane would be kind of John Halligan's good friend. And then after that, a year later, he interfered with my mother's funeral arrangements in an effort to kind of cover up what he was after doing. But the people of Waterford, you'll all agree with me that there's decades and decades of stuff that should have been kind of properly investigated. And the people who covered it up, they're still employed. Are you kidding me? Like, not only did they cover it up, they endangered the people they're supposed to be protecting. But as I spoke about that on social media, many girls came to me and they shared their story about how they were trying to get certain information out there and the guards weren't listening to them. And there was many girls and one or two boys also, but they didn't have a voice in all this because you're not allowed to have a voice in this once you speak about certain people in Waterford. And that was how I ended up kind of crossing paths with the Halligans. But you can look to my first TikTok video. Go back to my very first TikTok video. There you have Ray Halligan through it, and he tried to pass a threat to a girl who was going to be a potential witness regarding that whole children's grouping situation. And you have him on camera, caught red-handed, and he trying to threaten someone. Not to mention he acting like a thug. And my point about this situation is, right, some of these people now kind of ignore me. Some of them do, some of them don't. I actually don't have an issue with that. Despite what you might be told, I genuinely don't have an issue. Whether you ignore me or not, like, it's irrelevant. I understand. But I'm saying something, and I am speaking directly to somebody here, and there's no point in naming names. It was Ray Halligan who planted a seed in your head all those years ago that you were kind of endangered, which caused you to leave the town. Now that's fact. We'll both agree with this. He's now since going around telling people that you're under the thumb, that he has your back under the thumb. So that's the person now that you're protecting again. And I'm aware it's being pushed that I'm using that as some kind of situation to try and kind of defend myself regarding this other stuff. Like, I don't need any kind of assistance or kind of support to kind of defend myself, if I'm being honest with you. And I'm not using anyone, being honest with you. It's Ray Halligan that is using you. Okay, it's Ray Halligan that's using you. It's Ray Halligan right now going around boasting that you're back under the thumb. And if you want to back out of this situation, that's fine. Do it for your own reasons, you know what I mean? So obviously, I'm going to keep going with these videos, and there'll be more updates there. I got a reply from the Minister of the House, and Dara O'Brien, I think his name is, and he's going to look into the whole kind of situation regarding Waterford Council. I'm not sure if they know this, but they would have found out anyway. But myself and my wife were lured into a house up in Barrack Street, and basically we were manipulated to sign back the house by Joe Daniels. This is the same Joe Daniels that covered up for Roisin Doherty and Leo Kennedy, who got caught searching my mother's bedroom. And he gave us a reference to kind of show that he could be trusted. So we signed over the house on the pretense that we were getting a house move or a swap, but this was all lies, and I found out that the reference was actually illegal. Now all of this documentation is all available. They purposely won't take the documentation. So the concern now is that, like, we're not entitled to be housed. Because of their corruption, we're not entitled to be housed. That's basically what it is. And as for Waterford Gardaí, you're bending over backwards to facilitate that whole Halligan situation. Now this is an ongoing thing. Do you know what I mean? Not to mention other groups in Waterford where you're kind of pulling strings all over the place in an effort to get them to try and intimidate me or apply pressure socially. And I'm going to bring a case to the High Court. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll get my head around it and I will present. Obviously there's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to try and kind of remove or leave go. Unfortunately, I don't want to, but I will have to, because it has no relevance in the courtroom, being honest with you. And I don't want to jeopardize kind of pointing out the kind of breach of human rights and the kind of lack of due process, and now they're off deleting files. Like, if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you be deleting emails? So I'm going to keep going with this anyway, and I'll keep updating it. I don't expect anyone to like or share, because I'm aware of Waterford freewheelers and their network up and down Ireland and how they've been applying pressure like the last couple of months. I didn't realise it was that long. I knew of their involvement all along, being honest with you, but I didn't realise the extent of their involvement. But now I do know. And is it any wonder that the country is under projection that it's on, do you know what I mean? When you're dealing with so many kind of cowards. And I said it in my previous video, it'd be more fit for Waterford freewheelers to get the network that they use up and down Ireland and support the likes of Waterford Says No, or Cork Says No, or Dublin Says No, and support the nationalists in Waterford. Do you know what I mean? While our government essentially sells kind of the country down the river. But they won't do that, because it would rock the boat on Waterford Garda Station, and it would rock the boat on Waterford City Council, And Dr. Anne Carey, I'm very well aware that you're watching this, and you'd only love for me to be trading insults with all these various groups and kind of ranting and raving and all this kind of stuff, because it suits you. But this is all going to come out. I don't know how long it's going to take it, but it's going to come out. And the fact that I'm the only person that's pushing for a transparent investigation from day one speaks for itself. Not to mention the fact that you're now removing kind of all kinds of emails and kind of documentation that supports my case. So the next video I'll just speak about kind of being in the bar high from 2013 to 2014, and then I'll speak about like the actions of my ex. And as I said, this is not a normal case, and it's not about some kind of bitter breakup or anything like that. This woman has done the unthinkable, if I'm being honest with you. So I'll leave it there, and I'll kind of be back in touch sooner rather than later. So thanks anyway. Bye.